Hi Karan, can you give me access? Karan, Karan or Damni, whoever is managing. Good evening, everyone. We'll wait for another couple of minutes so the others can join in, and then we'll kickstart. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Any questions from what we discussed yesterday? Hello? Hello? Hello, am I
Hello,
audible?
sir. Hello, sir.
No, sir.
Good evening.
No, sir. Yeah. Uh, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So we'll start. Uh, हाँ mezzanine कल discuss हो रहा था. I told
हाँ जी.
everyone to look at the mezzanine. हाँ जी. So, guys, did you check on mezzanine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mahima, what's your understanding when you checked? Mahima. Mahima, you're there? Megha? Megha Rawat?
Hello, hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, sir, I checked partially, so I'm still not clear, but whatever I have collected, I can tell you. Actually, it's a combination of both equity and debt, a kind of financing. So lies between equity and debt, a kind of leverage we can say the company uses.
Okay, इतना तो कल ही बता दिया तो इसके आगे क्या? भैया इतना तो कल ही डिस्कस कर लिया था.
Sir, आगे still not clear on this.
But that's the task, correct? That was the task that you need to look at, correct, and search on it. The way you are responding, it seems आपने देखा नहीं. Correct, Megha? You're not searched for it, correct?
Sir, I searched, but actually, sir, बहुत सारी इसमें चीजें थी तो उतना मुझे clear नहीं हुआ.
But आपके पास तो बहुत टाइम था.
था.
But you didn't bother to even spend 20 minutes
No,
or
sir.
half an hour on this. It seems कि
No, sir,
आपने
not
इतना
like
भी नहीं, half an hour नहीं किया ना?
not like that. नहीं दे पाई
Not like
half
that.
an hour तो नहीं दे पाई.
Half an hour नहीं दे पाए.
थोड़ा
Okay.
बहुत दिया था half an hour नहीं दे.
Sorry?
मैं कह रही हूँ half an hour नहीं दे पाई, थोड़ा बहुत दिया था, थोड़ा बहुत रीड आउट किया था, तो मुझे इतना
थोड़ा बहुत
क्लियर
means
नहीं
2
समझ
minutes,
में आया.
2 minutes, 5 minutes, something like this.
5 to 10 minutes.
And you believe that's right? That's the right approach?
No,
If
not a
you've been
right.
given, if you've been given a particular topic, and you've been given a time, and you just open a particular link, and you believe that whatever first link and first 3 lines you have read, if that's not clear, then you should close that link and move on, rather than trying to open another link and spend another 5-10 minutes and make an honest attempt to try and understand that. But tell me honestly, do you believe you made an honest attempt?
Sir,
Megha?
sorry, sir. Sorry, sir.
No, don't be sorry to me. You need to be sorry to yourself. And if you don't quickly adapt, you will be sorry in future as well. तो मुझे sorry मत बोलो, मेरा कुछ नहीं जाएगा. It's not me who will get impacted. It's not me who will get the offers, letters. It's you, correct? And ये सबके लिए. Sorry, I'm trying to be little pushy and harsh on you, but that's the way, because शायद
No, sir. No,
आप लोगों
sir.
को
And
प्यार से समझ में नहीं है,
आप
आप लोगों को प्यार से समझ में नहीं आ रही चीजें.
sir, अच्छे आप मतलब you are trying for good of us, so I'm extremely sorry.
Oh, if you believe that, then फिर भी आपने नहीं किया. How should I pass on this communication to you? अगर if I'm asking you to do something, it means it should be done. At least you make an honest attempt. I'm happy to take those doubts. If you don't understand, I'm happy to explain it all over again. But at least I would expect an honest attempt from each one of you. And you're not the alone. I know there are a lot of people in this list who will not made an honest attempt. Mahima, you're back. Mahima, can you hear me? See, this is what happens. I'm asking questions from her. Every time I ask the question, she leaves the class. ठीक है. Madhur?
So, sir, what actually I got was there were some financial jargons I tried to looking up for it. So I know them, but I still totally understand them. So, what mezzanine financing is, it lies between senior debt and equity. Now, what's senior debt? Senior debt is the debt we need to pay off first, and it's often linked with mortgages, and it's a long-term financing, and it is used to lower the cost of capital. I don't know how. So that's what I found out extra apart from what we were taught in class.
But then why did you stop at a point where you're saying there are a couple of queries which didn't get resolved? Why do you decided to stop at that point of time?
So I actually found a PDF. So they were actually using heavy financial jargons, and I tried to looking up for them. But
Okay, so
actually, I got
if you
confused
found
in the end.
okay, so if you found some financial jargon, so you can look those financial jargons back into Google, or you can look for another PDF or another explanation which doesn't contain those technical terms but still helps you to explain that concept.
No,
Guys,
okay, sorry. Please continue.
yeah. So Madhu, Megha, and everyone, that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Please, you need to make these honest efforts. The argument here is not whether you made an effort or not. The argument is whether that effort is good enough for you to convince the interviewer that you know the concept. You made an honest attempt around this. That's it. Even if you spend 40 hours, but you're not able to convince the interviewer that you made an honest effort, those 40 hours are waste. Correct? Let's take an example of this program, correct? So you will spend around 3.5 months into this journey. And after this, you will sit for an interview, and in spite of the fact you spent 3.5 months into this program, you made an effort and everything, but you're not able to convince the interviewer, you fail. So please, guys, please understand, this is not school. This is, and of course, and that's the reason I'm trying to tell you. For me, I'm not trying to look. I'm not trying to pass on the only knowledge pieces to you. I want you to develop like a talent, which can only happen if you grow on both sides. One is on the knowledge piece, which is content piece, which is technical piece, and second is the attitude piece as well, which entirely which put together gives a package of the talent which we go and recruit in the market. It's perfectly fine. You fail, you don't understand those concepts, you struggle, you understand half of it, of you don't understand, but at least an effort has to be honest enough. Anybody who's understood this and wants to take this mezzanine? So जितना मधुर ने बोला उतना सही था extent, but जो pieces उसने cover नहीं करे before I go and explain those. Anybody who wants to try this mezzanine
Can
financing?
I give a shot, sir?
हाँ रुको, बाकी लोगों को एक बार opportunity देते हैं. हाँ, so anybody else?
Sir, I'll try.
Bhavesh?
So like it bridges the gap between debt.
Isha, Bhavesh?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Nishant.
Yeah.
So my understanding on mezzanine financing is what Madhu said, that is right. It is a subordinate to senior debt, and it is a combination of equity and senior debt, most preferably the equity part. So how it works? So investors, they buy out a certain portion of a debt, wherein they can, so sir, this is basically, this is from an investor perspective, it is an opportunity to invest in equity by buying out some senior debt of an organization. So that's how it works. So this is all I know about this.
नहीं, मुझे समझ नहीं आया, थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट तरीके से एग्जांपल के थ्रू समझाओगे? Bhavesh?
For example, as such, I don't have any example.
कोई बात नहीं, मुझे एग्जांपल नहीं भी है तो, बट जो आपने बोला मुझे समझ नहीं आया.
Sir, if suppose in an organization, if it is like a debt, senior debt, which has been there in the organization for a very long time. So company is like paying a high amount of you can say dividend or interest or whatever the share of profit they are sharing with the in order to repay the interest of the debt. So just to cut down on that part, they look out for investors to invest to buy out that senior debt, and investors they look for an opportunity to invest in equity. So that's how it is worked. It is again a middle portion between senior debt, or you can say the debt part and the equity part of the organization.
Yeah, Isha.
So it's a combination of both equity and debt that the lender gives right to convert to an equity interest in case of any default in the company. It's the one of the highest risk form of debt as compared to others. And it can be said as the unsecured debt as well. And
Okay.
yeah.
So give me an example of this. Example in the
I
sense.
know.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Example exactly.
No. So when I say example, I'm not looking for a name of the organization who has this. What I was looking for example in the sense which helps which can help others to understand this better.
Okay.
So that's what I was trying to figure out. Okay. कोई बात नहीं. This uh, is good enough. Anybody else? हाँ साहिल, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Sir, on the example part, I would like to
पहले
say in
concept
this
समझ,
way.
पहले concept बता दे. Example में बात नहीं.
Sir, according to me, mezzanine financing is a hybrid between equity and debt, where the debt gets converted into equity only in the case of default, and it gets the preference over, you know, common stakeholder, and it is also
Common?
unsecured for common stockholder. Common से ऊपर इसको
हाँ.
preference मिलेगा, and it is also a unsecured form of borrowing, and it is usually provide taken only in the case of high risk businesses. So an example of this would be, for example, if you Imarticus takes a loan from ICICI Bank for 10 million, and if they do not are not able to repay it, the amount of outstanding in the loan balance will be converted into the equity, and the ICICI Bank will claim that
Become the
equity in
owner.
become the
Yeah,
owner
so
in Imarticus.
become the owner in the company to that extent.
To that,
Then
yes,
that
yes.
kind of in funding is called as mezzanine funding. Couple of things which is important. Let me clarify those as well. So these clauses of conversion into equity are defined at the outset. It's, for example, if today Sahil wala example we continue with this. So agar Imarticus has taken a loan today from ICICI Bank, so at the time of taking the loan itself would be pretty. It would be clarified in the agreement itself that if Imarticus do not then ICICI Bank will issue notices, and if those notices are not served, then the outstanding amount along with the interest, if any, will be converted into the equivalent value of the interest. Sorry, equivalent value of the equity. These type of financing are called as mezzanine financing. Is that clear to everyone? Any doubt, questions on this? Guys, is mezzanine financing clear?
Yes.
Okay. So in case no doubt, so uh, moving further, I
Sir,
think this is bolo.
yesterday I requested you to give an example of where the private limited company gets, gets investment from PE, and then after impacts, how to show it in a practical example. You said you will present an example for this.
हाँ, कल कुछ तो तुमने बोला था, एक बार दोबारा मुझे याद दिलाओगे क्या क्वेश्चन था?
सर कि एक स्टार्टअप है, अभी सिर्फ आइडिया जनरेट हुए हैं, 4 पार्टनर्स हैं और वो पी फंडिंग लेते हैं, उसके बाद उनका कितना स्टेक रहता है, कैसे वो ओनरशिप कैसे डिसाइड होती है, और अर्निंग
एक
के बाद वो
एबीसी
कैसे
कंपनी
डिस्ट्रीब्यूट।
है, हाँ एबीसी
हमने
कंपनी है, तो क्या चाहिए तुम्हें? एक कंपनी है, उसने क्या
एबीसी,
लिया? प्राइवेट इक्विटी लिया?
अभी इसमें 3 पार्टनर्स हैं, कैपिटल कोई नहीं है, अभी स्टार्टअप है।
अब तो कैपिटल स्टार्टअप है तो कैपिटल तो लगाया ही होगा, तभी तो स्टार्टअप
चलो
बनेगा
ठीक है,
बिना कैपिटल।
हम अभी मान लो सिर्फ,
हाँ
और 10 लाख है, और 2 पार्टनर हैं ए एंड बी,
हाँ
30-70 मतलब इनकी शेयरिंग है।
हाँ
अब वो पी फंड से इन्वेस्टमेंट लेते हैं 5 लाख की, तो उसके बाद सारा कि कैसा उनका स्टेक रहेगा, और फिर प्रॉफिट होता है बिजनेस के बाद सपोज 3 लाख, तो वो कैसे डिवाइड होगा ये भी।
कितना चाहिए इसमें से? 5 और चाहिए ना तुम्हें?
5, हाँ।
ये रहेगा न्यू स्ट्रक्चर, न्यू स्टेक होल्डर।
ठीक है, तो अभी इस केस में जो बी है दैट इज द मेजॉरिटी स्टेक होल्डर। तो अब इनको एक साल में 5 लाख का प्रॉफिट होता है फर्स्ट ईयर के बाद। तो उसकी डिवीजन कैसे?
नहीं, पहले तो ये डिसीजन होगा ना कि whether they want to distribute these profit or they want to retain this profit.
हाँ, तो सर
Let's
ये
suppose
डिसीजन
they
कौन लेगा?
decide, बोर्ड लेगा ना।
और बोर्ड कौन हेड करेगा? जो जिसका मेजॉरिटी स्टेक है।
नॉट नेसेसरी ना। सो फॉर एग्जांपल, सपोज बोर्ड के नॉमिनेशन में ए आता है, बी आता है और पी आता है। तो मान लो 20% जिसका स्टेक है उसने ए के लिए हाँ बोला, और जिसका 33% स्टेक है उसने भी ए के लिए हाँ बोल दिया, तो ए सिलेक्ट हो जाएगा ना, क्योंकि मेजॉरिटी वोटिंग उसके फेवर में हो गई है।
और सर इस केस अगर ऐसा केस हो कि बी अपना ही नाम प्रपोज करे और ए अपना करे, तो फिर किसका होगा?
अरे ए अपना करेगा, बी अपना करेगा, तो जो बाकी लोग हैं वो तो किसी के फेवर में वोट करेंगे ना।
बट सर अभी बाकी लोग कहाँ से पिक्चर में आई? तो अभी तो पी फंड से कॉमन स्टॉक होल्डर तो है ही नहीं इसमें।
अबे पी तो स्टॉक होल्डर है ना, उसके वोटिंग राइट तो है उसके पास।
ओके, अच्छा।
सो इस एग्जांपल में, सो ए ने अपना नाम प्रपोज किया, बी ने अपना नाम प्रपोज किया, दोनों आपस में फाइट कर रहे हैं। तो नाउ ये पी विल डिसाइड ना किसके पास जाएगा। पी अगर ए के लिए हाँ करता तो ए सिलेक्ट हो जाएगा, पी अगर बी के लिए यस करता तो बी सिलेक्ट हो जाएगा।
ठीक है,
Any decision in the company is being made by if you have 51% voting rights in your favor.
ठीक है।
So once this board is formed, the first decision would be whether the profit needs to be distributed or profit needs to be withheld. And if it has been decided the profit needs to be distributed, then of course it will be distributed in this ratio, this new percentage stake. उसमें कोई doubt नहीं है।
ठीक है,
इस परसेंटेज में डिवाइड हो जाएगा।
ओके।
हाँ साहिल, और कुछ?
हो गया सर, और बस, थैंक यू।
ठीक है। Anybody else? Any other question? Any other question? No? ठीक है। Now ये चीज important है। So though we've discussed this yesterday, not this slide, but conceptually we've discussed these pieces. So just go through these pieces. These are the differences between IPO and private equity. ठीक है? I'm giving you 5 minutes. Just we've discussed these points yesterday, but this is just in a differentiation format, it's putting into one slide together. So just go through these points and let me know in case any questions, any doubt on any of these points. This is the difference between private equity and IPO.
Yes, sir.
हाँ जी, देख लिया ये?
No.
Yeah, Kansha.
So actually, I was confused with the example of the mezzanine financing that was being discussed earlier.
Sorry, you're confused about the example of
Mezzanine financing. So I just
mezzanine
understood that
financing. Okay, so
mezzanine
mezzanine finance. Yeah, I got your question. So mezzanine financing, you want me to repeat the example, correct? Example में कुछ question
Yeah.
है ना आपका? So mezzanine financing के जो example हम लोग discuss करते हैं. For example, if the for example, if Marticus takes a loan from ICICI Bank, and suppose this is a 10 lakh loan, at the time of giving loan, if ICICI Banks puts a condition on Marticus that if you are not able to repay the loan, then in that case, the outstanding principal along with the outstanding interest will be converted into equivalent equity. If those terms and conditions are brought in, then this type of funding will become mezzanine funding.
Okay.
So somebody is giving you loan with a condition that if the loan is not repaid, then the lender converts that amount into equity.
Okay. So it's basically depending on the debt that has not been repaid.
Yeah. So जैसे for example, typically जैसे आप home loan लेते हो, when you take a home loan, if you don't repay, so they don't convert that outstanding amount into equity. They sell off the asset and they try and recover the money from you. In mezzanine financing, the bank converts the outstanding amount into equity and become the owner into the company.
So when is it possible for doing the mezzanine financing? Like, is it the bank that chooses which company to finance that way, or
Both ways.
because
So if you are comfortable with mezzanine financing, you can go to the bank and say, I need a loan and I'm looking for mezzanine financing. It could be vice versa also. For example, if the bank is not comfortable of giving you simple loan, they might say, okay, we'll give you loan, but we'll give you loan in form of mezzanine financing.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Megha.
Yeah, sir, actually, I have a question. Like, why there is a need of mezzanine financing? I mean, when the company is already having options of equity debts, so why my mezzanine finance is used?
So for example, if you're a lender, if I come to you and I am a startup company, if I come to you for a loan, would you be, if you're not comfortable of giving me loan because I am a new company and I'm a risky, I do not have any collateral, so how will you give me loan? I do not have any history because I'm a new company. I do not have any assets to give you a guarantee or collateral. So how would you give me loan? On what basis you will give me loan?
Good rating or reputation.
But the rating and reputation comes from the past, correct? It's a new company. There's no past.
So new company also uses this kind of financing.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
those companies will not have any past or rating or history to convince the bank that they are good borrowers. So what they say, okay, give us loan. If you are not able to repay, you become owner into our company. So that gives a comfort to the bank, because somebody who's saying if I don't repay, you become an owner, means you're trying to give an extra comfort to the bank. Megha, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Akansha, आपका वो clear हुआ? So mezzanine का आप is that good enough? आपका queries clear हुआ? Akansha?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. On this slide, the difference between private equity and IPO. Anybody, any doubt? The same point what we discussed yesterday. Just go through these and let me know in case आपको कोई doubt है query है तो. Any questions on this slide?
No questions from my side.
Others? Any question on this slide? Okay. Now, how does a private equity transaction happen in terms of the process? So, for example, if you are a startup company who needs funding and I'm a private equity firm, you come to me, and how does it transaction go through between you and me? That's this slide explains you that process. So, step one, there's a preliminary discussion that happens. So I would understand what is your business model, why do you, and once it seems attractive, then I start understanding what is your client, what is your business, what are your drivers. Driver means from where you will get the growth, what is your strategy, and of course I will try and get into the deep understanding of your business model, your strategy, your idea, and so on. And then there will be detailed memorandum that will be created. So detailed memorandum is nothing but a detailed report which will capture about all future plans, your strengths, your weaknesses, and stuff like this. And then finally, in terms of how much money I can give you, what are the terms and conditions? This is where the term sheet will come in. Term sheet means a document which contains all those terms and conditions. The negotiation will happen. Negotiation in terms of the price, in terms of the value. There will be due diligence. Due diligence we discussed here. Due diligence is nothing but is a kind of checks and audits that being done. And finally, the investment agreement is being created. Both the parties agree on this, sign on this, and which then results in the closure of the contract. Any questions on this?
Sir, you said negotiation. So on what terms the company and the PE fund would negotiate? On what topics?
It could be anything, correct? It could be valuation, it could be the price, it could be the percentage stake, it could be terms and conditions of the clauses, it could be tenure also. It could be who will be the member of the board, who will be head of the board, could be anything.
So on the compensation part, there is also no the PE fund won't expect any fixed return over its fund, but then they would negotiate for percentage stake.
May or may not. It is possible they might
There could
negotiate on the
be,
fixed returns also. Anything is possible.
there are fixed returns when PE fund invest in a business.
Huh? Why not? We've done transactions where we have created hybrids where some portion of the returns is fixed and some portion of the return is variable as well. It completely depends on the structure of the transaction.
In the most vanilla transactions, what are the terms of negotiation, sir?
पहले वही तो बोल रहा हूँ साहिल. The terms of the negotiation could vary from pricing, could vary from valuation, could vary from percentage stake, could vary from the management, who will be in the management, who will be the head of the board. It could vary on any of these topics. And I'm talking about all these points of negotiation on the vanilla transaction only. Doubt कहाँ है साहिल इसमें? Any of these which is not clear to you? Sahil, is that clear?
Yes, sir, it is clear. I was just noting on the example on where the companies would negotiate. Okay. So it is percentage stake, head of the board, valuation, fixed charges, if any.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other question, query on the slide? Any other question from anybody? Yeah, Kansha.
So basically, I had just this small question regarding this slide. Is this like something that we should go through on a daily basis? That how the analyst goes about these points?
Not necessary. So the analyst may be required to do everything, or analyst might be required to do some bits and pieces of this. For example, if you join, so initial part of your career, you would be primarily working on this or on this. But as you grow in your career, and of course, these would be additional responsibility that will come in. For the initial part of your career, you will be asked to work on these two parts.
Okay, so gradually we'll just come to this, that how we do the term sheet planning and all.
Yeah, other stuffs are more complicated, and generally more senior members of the leadership team handle those responsibilities.
Thank you.
Anything else, guys? Okay, so in case no more questions, so this we've discussed. This is the same thing. So this slide is being given into more elaborative form. So if you want to look at it, you can look at it later, but it's pretty same. So in terms of asset allocation, we've discussed what is REIT. REIT हमने कल I think discuss किया था. REIT is real estate investment trust. आप में से कोई तो I think discuss कर रहा था. So it's work like a mutual fund. So REIT is any mutual fund which invests into real estate directly or indirectly. Those type of schemes or mutual funds are called as REIT, real estate investment trust. A mutual fund which directly or indirectly participates or invests or makes money only from real estate is called as REIT. Any doubt in this? Okay, equity we know, bonds we know. Bonds is nothing but debt. So private equity can allocate their assets. Assets means their money into bonds, into equity, into REIT, or anything else as well. So what they do, they follow a diversification concept. What is diversification? It's pretty simple. Like, don't put all eggs into one basket. So if you have, let's say, 10 crore rupees, if you put all 10 crore rupees into one company, the problem is if that company goes for a toss, you will lose the entire money. So that's why you try and spread 10 crores across different industries, across different asset classes. You put some money into equity, you put some money into bonds, some into real estate, some into gold, commodities, and so on. So that you try and diversify rather than putting everything into one company or one asset class. Is this clear? Any questions?
Sir, hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Any
I have a
questions?
question. I have a question,
No,
sir.
fine. Ah,
Sir, how do PE fund takes money from general public? How can we subscribe to PE fund?
how does
How can we invest our money in PE funds
we means
as a
who?
individual investors?
See, in a more practical scenario, you will not be able to invest because of a couple of reasons. First, you might not have that much of money to invest because these are not some mutual fund schemes where small ticket size transaction you can invest. These generally runs into crores or billion ticket size transactions. So that's the first piece. Let's assume if you have the ticket size to meet, uh, then you can get into this. But of course, then you need to have a very long holding period. When I say long holding period, we're looking at a big amount for a very long period of time, for 5, 10 odd years. And third, you need to have risk appetite for those. So as long as you are able to bring all these three together, you can invest into these. In fact, if you remember, yesterday I showed I discussed this piece, correct? HNI. HNI is nothing but high net worth individuals. They are also individuals. Why they become high net worth? Because they have big money to invest. So if you have big money to invest, you qualify for an HNI, and of course you can invest. There's no law
Uh,
which prohibits individuals to invest. So
Sir, 4 5
practically,
years ago, I had an mutual fund which had its underlying asset in which makes investment in new stocks, new companies. So that was the one way in which I can, you know, go through that. So it was a SBI something fund. I had that 4 5 years ago.
new company means मुझे समझ नहीं आया. New company मतलब what?
उसका asset class वही था कि मतलब private companies that need funds उसमें ही invest करता था वो.
So maybe private equity, may not be private equity. It depends upon what is the description or what is the scheme of that fund. उससे पता लगेगा. तो हो सकता है private equity हो सकता है नहीं. वो कितने साल के लिए इन्वेस्ट करता था? आप इन्वेस्ट करके 6 महीने बाद पैसा निकाल सकते थे.
1 साल का लॉक-इन था.
So I don't think वो private equity होगा because 1 साल के लॉक इन में I don't think they should operate.
Okay.
चाहे आप खुद सोचो ना, एक स्टार्टअप कंपनी को आप 1 साल के लिए पैसा देके उसे वापस लोगे, so will that help the private वो new startup private company? Can it work
No,
on
it won't.
those basis? So fair.
No, it won't. ठीक.
It could be some other form of a fund where the company might be investing some small amount in the new startup companies, and those new startup companies might not be needing that kind of money in a form of private equity. It could be different other channels of giving those funding. Anybody else? Any other question? Okay. Uh, Now, the one of the primary reasons or the parameters for private equity to choose the companies is about the growth parameters. How strong is the growth potential in the future? They're not very much interested about the control. They're more interested about the growth piece. So those companies which have promising high growth factors in the future, they generally try and participate or invest into those companies. And of course, where the management is more professional. If the startup is something like a family business, like a Lala company where nobody understands what the business is all about and stuff like this, they generally try and avoid investing into those. They would try and prefer investing into those companies where this is led, or the idea or the promoter is led by somebody who understands what it is all about, who has some academic background or knowledge to support the idea. That's where they generally try and invest money, because the objective of for them is that they will invest today. When the company will grow over a period of time, their investment size, their investment value will also grow, and later they will exit, and at the time of an exit they will make returns, because they might have invested 100 rupees. This 100 rupees might become 180 rupees at the exit, and when they exit they will make 80 rupees as a profit. So they will not continue to be invested into the company for a permanent basis. That's not the plan. The plan is pretty clear. They will enter when it's a small company, it's a startup. They will help the company to grow over a period of time. And when the company reaches at a state as a size where they believe, yes, it's the right time to exploit the value or to realize the value, at that time they will come out and sell the company or sell the stake to some other investor. Uh, any questions down in this? Okay. So some of the other parameters on which the private equity looks at is the business of the company. What's an idea? Do you have any track record? Generally, if it's startup company, they don't have a track record. What's the future growth? Quality of the management. This is what I mentioned. That who are the promoters? उनका education background क्या है? उनका business experience क्या है? Do they have ability to manage businesses and stuff like this? An operating environment. In which country you are planning to operate? वहाँ पे is it possible to for that business to survive? आपके और contacts क्या हैं? Relationships क्या हैं? So under what positive the environment is positive or conducive for you or not. So all those parameters is what they try and evaluate, and then they finally decide whether they are comfortable to invest the money or not. Any of the points which is not clear on this slide? No? Okay. Uh, this I've explained you. So they generally enter around this piece. Private equity generally enter at the starting phase, and when company grows big in the size, and this is the time where they generally exit. And the difference between this and this is their profit. ठीक है. So private equity generally finance unlisted company, generally, because this is where they try and make more returns. They also assist in development of the new product. As I told you yesterday, they act as a mentor. They're not somebody who will put the money and move on. They will become very active in your business. They will give the advice. They will participate in decision making. They will bring their expertise. They will bring their contacts and stuff like this. They will be very active in the participation. They take higher risk, and in return, they expect a higher risk, higher reward as well. They generally stay with the company for a longer period of time. They're not somebody who will invest for a couple of months, and that's the reason why I was telling Sahil earlier that the fund that he was referring doesn't seem to be a private equity firm, because the private equity fund generally try and invest for a longer period of time. And private equity generally prefer to invest through equity. They generally prefer through equity and avoid debt, but it's not compulsory, because if they come through equity, the equity gives them it gives them an opportunity to participate in decision making of the company. If they come through debt, then they will not be able to participate in decision making, which means this will not be possible if they come with debt. Any doubt on this slide?
हेलो.
Yeah.
हाँ सर. सर मुझको ये पूछना था कि जैसे आपने बताया इसके पहले वाले स्लाइड में प्राइवेट इक्विटी जो है वो जब ग्रो करने लगती है, जब ग्रो कर चुकी होती है तो दे एग्जिट. तो इन केस ऑफ सीसीडी जो केस हुआ था सर, उसमें हम लोग ये पढ़ते थे कि प्राइवेट इक्विटी का काफी प्रेशर था उनके ऊपर, इसलिए ये सारी चीजें हुई सीसीडी के जो ऑनर थे उनके. तो उसको एक बार डिस्कस थोड़ा सा बता देंगे कि उसका क्या था एग्जैक्टली, क्योंकि दैट इज एस्टेब्लिश्ड ब्रांड और वो काफी दिन से ग्रो कर चुका है वो काफी.
सो देखो उसमें so suppose if you are a private equity firm and you invest into my business, then what you would expect? You would expect me to generate returns, because आप 1 साल 2 साल 3 साल wait करोगे, but after some time you start expecting returns from me, correct?
Yes.
Now if I'm not able to give you returns, would you put pressure on me?
Yes.
That's what was happening there. Now there are a lot of elements of unresolved mysteries into that case in which you are referring. So I will not try and get into those unresolved mysteries, but as a general concept, as a private equity investor, when you invest into a particular company, you expect return. If the company is not giving you the returns what you expect, because of course you're expecting higher returns because you're taking higher risk, we expect a higher return. But if the company is generating a return, but these returns are less than what you expect, then of course you will put a pressure on the management that this is not what we expected, and you need to perform something more to get a higher return. And this becomes more complicated if the owner of the company is not able to arrange a replacement capital, which means if you invest money into my business and I'm not able to generate return for you, and at the same time I'm not able to help you to exit from my business, then you will again put more pressure on me, which means neither I'm able to help you to move out of my business, neither I'm able to generate returns for you, and you will start putting more pressure on me. That's what was happening. What happened in the case that you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
Anjani, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I have a doubt in second point.
Bolo.
So it says through acquisition of equity or equity linked instrument in investee companies.
Hmm. Hmm.
I didn't get this.
So the private equity firms will generally invest through equity channels. Huh? That's what this second point means. The acquisition of equity or equity-linked instruments in investee companies. Investee company is the company where you are investing.
Okay. So how acquisition here?
Acquisition
means?
means buying. They will buy equity instruments or equity shares into the company where they're investing.
So that's that was causing a confusion.
Any other doubt? Okay. Benefits of private equity. We've discussed this earlier. Again, just go through this and let me know any of the point where you want to explain me again. Want me to explain again? I'm giving you 2-3 minutes. Just go through this. We've discussed this yesterday and some pieces today as well. Just let me know in case any point you want me to explain again. Okay. Any questions on this? I've highlighted a couple of important parts in this slide. Let me know in case any of these points we need more clarification or not understood. Guys, any questions on this slide? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
But I'm asking you a question, correct? And I appreciate if there's a response. I don't understand why there's no response.
Yes, sir, no doubt.
We can move on.
The problems with private equity, because as a private equity generally invest into private companies, these companies do not have easy valuations available because, for example, if you're investing into public company, because the public companies are listed, their stock prices are easily available in stock exchange. Hence, you can make out very easily what's the price. But for a private company, the valuations are not available, so that's a problem. Uh, Again, PE funds are themselves a private companies. They're not very transparent. There are a lot of things which are hidden. What parameters they invest, what are the negotiation parameters. Nobody knows those things. So lot of transactions that happens through private equity are very confidential in nature. So a lot of things, a lot of details about those transactions are also not disclosed. And that's the reason why when I think Anjani was asking me about the past OYO transaction and certain event that happened around that, I told some of the stuffs which was not being disclosed in the public domain, and I didn't mention all those things. But yes, there's a problem in the private equity side. There's a lot of they're not too. Then of course risk is inconsistent. Every private equity will have a lot of subjectivity. One private equity might reject your proposal, another private equity might accept your proposal. You can't compare what's the parameter basis which one has accepted and rejected. Valuations are stale, which means if one private equity has done a valuation 6 months back and today you want to understand the valuation again, there's no way to understand the valuation. You have to do that entire valuation all over again, which is not the case for a public company, because in public companies, because it's listed, you know the price is changing every time, and you can find out the correct relevant price at any given point of time, but it's not practically possible in the private companies. Any doubt before I move to so I think this you discussed, correct? Private equities are generally illiquid. They're not easy to sell off, and because they're illiquid, they're generally not short term. They are generally meant for the medium to long term. Same point what we discussed yesterday. Any questions on this?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so
Next is equity. Yeah.
I was asking about the disclosure point.
Yeah.
So if there are private investors involved, so even if they are investing, they're not aware of the uh, transactions of the company.
No, they are aware. The other peoples will not get involved. Other peoples will not be aware. For example, if a private equity firm is investing into a company A, they will be aware. But if you want to understand more information, you will not be able to understand what's happening. You will be only able to know what the company has disclosed in the public domain. For
Okay.
example, in a listed company, every quarter they publish their results. They publish on an annual basis. They come out with an annual report. So that allows you to have a lot of information about the company. Those things are not possible or doesn't happen with for the private companies or for these private equity transactions.
Yeah. So basically, these are all public, private transactions. So why is it that a negative point for the public? Because already public is not investing in them.
Correct. But if you want to know about them, what's happening, what's the value, what are the parameters, you will not be able to easily know those things. That's the limitation.
Okay.
So, but at the stage of angel investing, how can somebody value the private companies?
Sorry.
At the angel stage, how can one of private equity funding company evaluate the private company to invest into? Because these have no financials in his accounts at the angel side, right? At the angel stage, they have no
So वो
financials
तो
in their account.
वो करेंगे ना. So you're talking about how can somebody value a startup company because they do
Exactly.
not have any past. So
Exactly.
when we come to those valuation stuffs, then we'll discuss if as a batch you agree, I can take, because anyways I have to take one modeling case study. If you want, I can take a modeling case study of a startup company also, which is more complicated. Visa is a running company. Of course, we can if you guys are interested in doing those advanced
Start
concepts and doing
startup.
modeling for those.
Start.
Yeah, yes.
I think the startup is good. Startup is good, sir, for the modeling.
हाँ ठीक है. As of now,
For the modeling,
ठीक है, we can look that. As of now, I don't want to commit anything. I'm not committing that yes, I will do, because let's see how does it go. And when we reach to that stage, we'll have the discussion, because one of the important pieces, whether I would take that session or not. So that's a component of those pieces. So let's take step by step. And when we reach to that stage where we have to decide what case study we have to take for the modeling, at that point of time, let's see how does it work out. But I'm okay if suppose batch agrees to take, decides to do a startup as well. There are a couple of points that we need to discuss, because that would be more complicated and more advanced vis-a-vis running company. So let's see when we reach to that stage.
sure, sir.
Anything else before I start off with this last part?
So can you please explain the fourth point?
Fourth point, risk of the stale valuation. So, for example, on Monday when the stock market opens, if I ask you what's the Reliance price, you can tell me what's the Reliance price. After 2 days, if I ask you what's the Reliance price, again you can tell me the Reliance price, correct? Which means, because you know what's the price available in the stock market, the valuation, the price or the value is never old. But in a private equity investments, if the company has done a valuation today, and if I ask you after 6 months what is the value, you have no benchmark to tell me the value. Only way for you to calculate the value is you have to do this calculation all over again. Equity research. What do you mean by equity research? For example, if you want to buy a mobile phone for yourself, how do you go ahead? Anji, anybody want to buy a mobile phone for yourself? Isha, Isha.
Yes, sir.
Am I, sir?
Yeah, Isha Sharma.
Yeah, sir. Can you please repeat your question?
If you want to buy a mobile phone for mobile handset for yourself, how would you decide, and how would you take it forward? How would you decide which brand you want to buy? What would be the approach that you would follow?
Firstly, I will check out all the features of that mobile phone, like how it works, what about the RAM, what about the memory, and their features, its features, and about the camera and all. After all these things, I will come to know about two or three companies like Samsung, Nokia, and so on. And after that, I will decide like I want to buy Samsung because I will get satisfied with the features of Samsung.
Okay.
That's it.
Uh, okay. So suppose if I want to buy a mobile phone for myself, the approach that I would prefer to follow is first I will decide what are the features that uh, I want in my handset. For example, if I want higher space, I want camera, I want big screen, some stuff like this. So I would decide my preferences. Then, based on my preferences, I will start shortlisting the handsets available in the market within the budget that I've decided. So let's assume, basis those parameters, I have shortlisted four brands, and then for each of those brands, I will do much more deep assessments, checks, due diligence. For example, I might look at the reviews on the websites. If any of my friend or known person is using any of these, I will try and see feedback from them. If any of those are using those mobile phones and they live nearby, I can visit their place to see the mobile phone as well. How does it look like and stuff like this. And basis that finally I will decide which of these handsets I want to buy. And any questions, any doubt in this approach? Most of you, I think, would use this approach, correct? Anybody who believes could follow a different approach vis-a-vis what I said.
Sir, I would first, look for the mobile phones that are available in my budget. I will look for my budget first.
तो बोला तो सही साहिल, मैं अपनी प्रेफरेंसेस की लिस्ट बनाऊंगा, अपने फीचर्स बताऊंगा कि ये फीचर मुझे चाहिए और वो फीचर्स उन फीचर्स के कौन कौन से हैंडसेट्स अवेलेबल है मेरे बजट में वो शॉर्ट लिस्ट करूंगा, यही तो बोला मैंने. और कुछ डिफरेंस? So now this is for buying a mobile phone. So suppose if I have 10 lakh rupees and I want to invest into equity market, how would I decide where should I invest? I will follow a very same process. I will decide, okay, I want to invest for let's say 5 years. I would be investing into 4 5 companies. Basis these parameters, this budget, I will shortlist certain companies. I will do research on each of these companies. What's the business model? Are these companies good or bad? Which product segments are they operating? Which industry are they operating? And then stuff like this. And then finally, I will select a particular company or probably more than one company to invest. This entire process, when done in a very formal structured format, is called as equity research, because you're doing a research to decide which equity stock you should buy. That's called as equity research. Any questions on this? Okay. So, हाँ, ये देख लीजिए. I've explained you what is equity research. So equity research primarily involves analyzing company financials. You analyze company financials through ratios analysis. ये करवाया जाएगा आपको through forecast financial model, ये आपको कराया जाएगा. ठीक है. And you do scenario analysis, sensitivity analysis. This is also what we'll do. And finally, you create a research report. So you put your entire analysis in form of a report, and that becomes an equity research report. And then finally, it helps somebody to decide, which is called as recommendation, to whether you should buy a stock or sell the stock, and that's called as equity research report. Any questions on this?
So valuation techniques are also covered in this? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So valuation techniques are also covered in this?
Sorry, sir.
Valuation techniques.
नहीं समझा नहीं. Valuation techniques means
DCF, LBO, comps.
हाँ क्या मतलब क्वेश्चन क्या है, वो क्या करना है DCFL?
ये सब भी कवर्ड होगा इसमें
मतलब किसमें, इस प्रोग्राम में?
अपने प्रोग्राम में. यस.
हाँ. Yeah, so we'll do DCF. Any doubt on this slide?
No, sir.
Okay. Moving further, what are the primary roles of the research analyst? So what is research analyst? The analyst who is responsible for doing the research. What I showed you on the last slide. What they're responsible for? What are the primary deliverables, or what are the activities that they carry out? They analyze the companies, they analyze the industry, and they understand the company well. They speak to the management as well, the management of the company. If you belong to a good research house, then you get an appointment to speak to the management of the company as well, because it helps you to understand what's the management strategy, vision, and stuff like that. You do interaction with the clients as well. You help the companies. You pass on your research reports to the sales team of the company, and try and understand how does it work. So, for example, there's a let me take an example of ICICI Direct. Now, in ICICI Direct, when you get a call from someone or somebody when approaches you, that's a salesperson. इसको RM बोलते हैं, relationship manager. वो सेल्स पर्सन आपको कॉल करके बोलता है सर ये कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट कर दो, ये स्टॉक खरीद लो. वो सेल्स का बंदा है, वो रिसर्च नहीं करता. उसके पीछे कोई और टीम है जो रिसर्च कर रही होती है, तो वो टीम रिसर्च करके उस सेल्स टीम को बताती है कि ये स्टॉक अच्छा है. वो सेल्स टीम अपने क्लाइंट को फोन करके बताता है आप ये स्टॉक खरीद लो. एंड दैट्स व्हाट दिस पॉइंट सेज. They pass on the ideas and insight to the sales team for mass distribution. In this research analysis, again, as you grow in the organization and you go into the senior roles, you don't track only one company, you are being asked to track more than one company. Now, this is the diagrammatic presentation of the same explained to you. So this is a research analyst. Research analyst shares the research report or information with the salesperson, and the salesperson starts calling the client. And these are the people who then finally buys those stock. Is this clear? Now this is called a sell side, because these people are selling the idea or selling the report, and these people are buying that idea or buying that research. It's not, sell side does not mean you are selling the stock. Sell side means you're selling the idea, you're selling the analysis, and buy side means somebody on the other side is buying your analysis. Buying of the analysis does not mean buying the stock. Buying the analysis could also mean that a research analyst has recommended that you should sell the stock. Somebody gets convinced with your idea and sell the stock. Still, it's on buy side. समझ आया आप लोगों को? Guys, any doubt on this slide?
No, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah, Kansha.
basically, if the sell side is selling it to the sales desk, then what is the need for the buy side portfolio manager?
Sorry, come again.
I was asking if the sell-side analyst is selling his ideas to the sale desk, who will in turn connect to the customers, then why is it that there is a buy-side portfolio manager as well playing a role over there?
No, buy side portfolio manager is the client. This salesperson will call somebody, correct? Rather than portfolio manager, this could be you also, could be person X also. So this person is somebody who wants to invest. This could be a portfolio manager also, could be any investor who has money and looking for ideas to invest.
Yeah.
So instead of portfolio manager, वहाँ पे आप भी हो सकते हो, मैं भी हो सकता हूँ, if you are looking for the investment.
Okay.
So I have a doubt. Like,
Yeah.
as you said, the person sitting on the buy side is not exactly buying the stock. But if you're saying like it can be us, so we are investing only.
No, what I said, that anybody who will be on this side,
Yes.
what that person is doing is, so let's put names to this. So suppose Isha, you are sitting here, I am sitting here, and let's assume Akansha is sitting here. So Akansha does a research, tells me this is the research. Now I call you and try and convince you. You get convinced. Okay,
Okay.
you will buy the stock. Now what I have done, I have sold my idea to you.
Yes.
मेरा idea क्या था? That you should buy this stock. Have I sold my idea and research to you? Have I sold my analysis to you?
Yes.
As a customer, have you bought?
Yes.
Case 2. Now, as per Akansha research, now the research says you should sell the stock. Now I again call you and now convince you, and I'm able to sell my idea to sell the stock. And you decide, okay, it's a good research. You have sold the stock, but still I have sold the idea to and you have bought my idea. Isha.
Second case नहीं समझ आया. First तो आ गया.
Second case में I am, कोई बात नहीं. Second case में I am now advising you to sell a particular company's stock.
Okay.
Even I'm asking you to sell the stock, मैं अपने end से तो आपको idea sell ही कर रहा हूँ ना, उस